What's up guys, Jody and Bryson here, back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about my battle with mental health issues. Before I launch into what I'm going to talk about, I just want to make a disclaimer that I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm none of those things. I'm a men's life coach. I help men to move forward, to become healthier physically, emotionally, mentally through using the techniques and real life experience that I've gained myself. Now, the reason I wanted to post this video today is firstly because it's something that greatly affects me. My mental health issues greatly affect me day to day, and they have done for a long time. And for me, it's really important to be vulnerable with you guys and share about me for you to get to know me and what I'm about. It's not just about me giving advice and tips and techniques. It's also about me sharing who I am with you guys. The other reason that I want to talk about it today is that, at the moment it's a UK national lockdown. A lot of people are struggling with mental health issues. A lot of people don't have the support that they need to help them to feel better and to feel less alone. So that's another reason why I wanted to jump on this video. The third reason really is that I personally believe that in terms of mental health, that there is a lot to be done in this, in this space to help people to feel better. A little bit of background story is that both of my parents had a career in mental health. I've myself worked in mental health settings, and from my personal perspective, there's too much reliance on medication and on therapy, and not enough on taking ownership and responsibility of your own mental health and being proactive in that way. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the strategies and the techniques that I've used to improve my mental health, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the things that I've suffered and struggled with. So the best place for me to start really is early childhood, because this period of our life really affects the way that our brain works mentally and emotionally. So if we experience anything that we perceive as being traumatic, we felt was traumatic, that's going to have a massive impact on later life, and a lot of research shows that. There's a lot of science to show that as well. So when I was young, my mom, she was quite sad. She was quite depressed. She was struggling a lot. My dad left my home environment when I was 3. My mum and dad lost a child to cot death, which is incredibly sad. And I remember my mum crying a lot. I remember feeling very heavy on the inside from a very early age. And I, obviously as a child, I didn't understand that, so I needed to sort of escape that. I needed to break away from that. And my way of doing that was by being very, very active. So I was an extremely hyperactive, energetic kid. I always had to be outside playing football, playing sport, doing anything, right? And it was very difficult to get me to relax and to settle down, because that made me feel heavy, right? So that was kind of my early childhood experiences, and from there, like, really my issues with mental health started to kick in around my teenage years. Basically all the guys, they were physically maturing a lot quicker than I was. There was quite a bit of conflict in my home environment. My my childhood best friend stopped talking to me for whatever reasons, and there was a lot going on in that period that I really, really struggled with, and it caused me to become quite depressed. It caused me to become very angry and resentful, and I developed a bit of a superiority complex, which I still struggle with today. So I thought I was, better than everyone else, and that was my protective mechanism because of how I was feeling on the inside. I was feeling a lot of pain on the inside. I didn't necessarily feel like I could share that with anyone. And my only avenue for releasing that pain was through sport and through football. And in those later years of adolescence, my identity of being a really good footballer, started to go down. All the other lads were a lot bigger, a lot stronger, better than me, and I lost that only thing that I felt that I had that made me feel good was no longer making me feel good. That was making me feel inadequate and insecure, and that's where my kind of journey with mental health really started. Um, Skipping that, I went off to university. I struggled with mental health there, but obviously in the culture of university, everyone's drinking all the time. Everyone's a lot of people were having a lot of casual sex. There's drugs. I didn't really do any drugs at university. It was mainly alcohol, but it's really not a very healthy lifestyle. And at that point, I was obviously doing that for 3 years of my undergraduate degree, and I think it's very easy to live that lifestyle and to think it's normal, and to think that the things that you're going through is what everyone else is going through because everyone is living that lifestyle. And I think it's kind of detrimental for a lot of people out there to live that sort of lifestyle, especially if they're struggling with mental health issues, if they're depressed, which I was. I was sleeping loads all the time. I was sometimes sleeping for like 16 hours, feeling completely powerless and helpless, not really wanting to do anything, pretending to all of my friends that I was awesome and okay when deep inside I wasn't okay at all. And that period in my life, although it was fun, actually caused a lot more issues than what I already had, because there was a lot of competition, and I found myself attracted to the people that were super competitive sports people, and that wasn't particularly healthy for me at that point because my self-confidence, my self-worth was extremely low, and they probably didn't realize or know that because I always pretended that I was doing fine, and I could brush it off and that nothing affected me, but deep inside there was a lot going on for me emotionally. My issues kind of started to become more apparent after my master's degree. I had a heartbreak, and basically my friendships and my relationships at that point had always been not very consistent. Right, I've lost a lot of friends. I've messed up a lot of relationships, or for whatever reason, those people are no longer in my life, and that caused me to reflect a lot on myself and what I was doing. What was I doing wrong? Why were all of these people not wanting to be friends with me, not wanting to have relationships with me anymore? And that led me onto the journey which I'm still on now, 5 years afterwards, in personal and self-development. So one of the first books I read after that heartbreak was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And if you research very, very successful people in lots of different industries, what you will find is that a lot of them have gone through mental health issues. A lot of them have become depressed. A lot of them have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. A lot of them have BPD, borderline personality disorder, and they've dealt with those issues their own way, which is what I've done. And so the reason I wanted to mention that is to normalize mental health, okay? Because I know if you follow mainstream views, mainstream beliefs, they will tell you that there's something wrong with you, right? And that's the problem with mental health right now, okay? Because look at these highly effective, highly successful people. If they believed that there was something wrong with them, they would never be the people that they are today. It's because they seek to understand themselves, they seek to improve themselves and work through their own problems, through their own situation, that helped them to get to the place that they are today. All right, so I'm a big believer in self-therapy, self-help, okay? That's not to say that you shouldn't go to see counselors, shouldn't go to see therapists, shouldn't go to see coaches, but you've also got to take a lot of responsibility for your own mental health, okay? It's the things that you are doing on a daily basis that improve your mental health, just like your physical health. Like, you wouldn't go to a personal trainer once or twice a week and not do any other training and expect to be super fit, all right? That's just not going to happen. You go to the trainer once or twice a week, and then you do training on your own. You know, you take care of your diet, and that's how you become physically healthy. And most of the work is done by you, not by the personal trainer. And exactly the same is true when it comes to mental health. It's not about relying on a counselor or relying on pills to make you feel better. It's about taking responsibility for yourself. Okay, so I went on a bit of a tangent there, but coming back to my story, so after that heartbreak that I had, I decided to go on a journey of self-discovery and self-development. I had this undeniable urge to help people, which is something that I've always had, and I was super passionate about helping people in this area, in mental health, and helping people to feel more confident and to improve their mindset. I did a master's in sports psychology, so a lot of the stuff that I learned on that course was applicable to people in a range of different ways. Okay, a lot to do with goal setting and visualization and stuff like that I still use today. So going off from my master's degree, I started working with people, and I've been doing that for 5 years now. And in that time, I developed techniques and strategies that have really started to improve my mental health, because in those years I was still very bitter and angry and resentful. I still had an element of me that was very self-protective and viewing myself as being better than other people, lacking humility. I was quite arrogant and narcissistic, but a lot of that was a way of protecting the pain that I felt inside. All right, so I want to talk about a few things that I've done to help me on my mental health journey that have allowed me to live a fairly normal life. All right, and that helped me to maintain a fairly balanced mental health. Okay, with that being said, I do have highs and I do have lows, which I'll come to in a minute. But I just want to go through a few of the things that I do on a daily basis to help me to improve my mental health. So the non-negotiables for me is that I go for a walk every single day. I spend time out in nature. All right, that makes me feel good. That calms me down, makes me feel part of something. I also make sure that I train every single day, or I try to. Okay, I'm pretty consistent with that, and that's because it helps me to get into my body. All right, I struggle with PTSD and anxiety. I overthink a lot, keeps me up at night, and so when I train, that really helps me to get out of my head and into my body. The third thing that I do is that I listen to a lot of music. I listen to music that really speaks to me in a very emotional sort of way that hits me right in my soul. And that helps to soothe me and to calm me down and to validate my own emotions. Okay. And the fourth thing I try to do is that I speak things out, right? This is why I love doing these YouTube videos. I also talk a lot about my own struggles in my men's group. I post daily to let them know what's going on with me, and that really helps me to offload. Okay, and that kind of is where I'm at right now, and I just want to finish off this very long video with talking about the mental health issues that I struggle with. So the first one of those being is depression, right? I've mentioned that already, but depression has been a theme all the way throughout my life. Normally it's worse in the mornings. I wake up, I don't always want to get out of bed. I lay in bed for a long time, feeling powerless and helpless and not really wanting to attack the day because I feel so drained. Once I'm up, I'm quite miserable, quite moody, find it quite difficult to adjust. And the first thing I do is go for a walk to get myself into a better headspace. But if I didn't do that, then that would have a massive impact on my mental health. The other thing is PTSD, so post-traumatic stress disorder. So if you did experience stuff that you felt was traumatic to you as a child, the chances are that you're going to struggle with PTSD in adulthood. And what that really is a stress disorder, a very low tolerance of stressful situations, stressful people, and life stress. And the way that really impacts me is that when things are feeling very on top of me, I'm completely unable to do anything, and I just avoid it and bury my head in the sand. And so managing my stress, making sure that I'm not spending too much time on social media, doing the other things that I do to keep myself calm are vitally important to me maintaining my mental health. The third thing that really has a big impact on me and something that's become a lot worse in the last couple of years because I've allowed myself to be more vulnerable and to tap into my emotions is BPD, borderline personality disorder. Basically, I would put some information, some videos in the comments box. But what BPD is emotional instability and emotional intensity and impulsivity. All right, and so basically what that means is that my emotions can go from 0 to 100 miles per hour very quickly. All right, and at the same time I can go from being really happy, really joyful to being really pissed off. All right, so I can be very volatile, and that is a consequence of the emotional background that I experienced in childhood, right? And the way that I manage that is firstly by understanding the symptoms, right? So I did a lot of research into borderline personality disorder on my own by watching some really useful YouTube videos, which I'll link in the comments below, that helped me to identify things that I was doing, things that I was struggling with, and so that I could understand that that wasn't good, that that wasn't healthy, and I started to become more aware of it, all right? And that awareness doesn't really help you that much at the start, because it actually causes you more stress because you're more alert of things. And if you struggle with PTSD as well, that's probably going to make your PTSD worse. All right, but what it does do is it helps you to identify triggers. And when you're more aware of those things that trigger you off, like for me, it's when people are trying to attack me for no reason, or people have got very different views and opinions, beliefs to me. When I feel threatened, when I feel like someone is going to abandon me, all of that stuff triggers it off. And that's because borderline personality disorder stems from two main things, which is a deep, deep fear of being abandoned, which goes back to childhood again. My dad leaving when I was young and not feeling like there was anyone there for me. That's where that fear of abandonment comes from. And the other main cause of borderline personality disorder is this sort of unstable sense of self, and that's because when we are young, we need our internal experience to be validated, okay? And if we're going through a lot of stuff and it's not validated, then we start to turn in on ourselves and question ourselves and doubt our internal experience. And that causes us to feel very distant from the rest of society. It causes us to feel like we are a burden and that we're different and that we're inadequate. And those are the two main causes of that disorder that lead to a range of different symptoms. So yeah, that's the stuff that I struggle with day to day. I just wanted to share that with all of you guys. I want you to understand that if you are going through mental health stuff right now, that there is stuff that you can be doing to help yourself. But if you're at that point where you don't feel like you can do that, then I really encourage you to reach out to someone, whether that's a therapist or a psychologist or a coach, whoever it is, like a friend. I don't really care who it is, as long as it's someone who you trust and someone who's going to make you feel better about yourself. So that's what I wanted to say. If you did find this video to be useful, then please press the subscribe button. I've got lots more video content on the way. Like the video if you liked the video. Feel free to share it with your friends if you think that they'd find it helpful and useful too. And hope you have an amazing day. Look after yourselves and remember that you're not alone.